my favorite part about both of these organizations is the teaching aspect, but it's not teaching in the sense of like, me pontificating what I know and people absorbing it and what the regular teaching. It's really supporting. It's supporting our interns and our collaborative efforts of teams, creating teams, and really supporting them in what they're doing, and really creating a learning atmosphere, a teaching atmosphere that is collaborative and supportive, and I think it's really wonderful.
You're listening to Relish This, the Purpose Marketing Podcast. Here's your host, Stu Swineford.
Hey everybody, Stu here. Welcome to Relish This. My guest today is Eric Majors. He is the Executive Director of Seaside Sustainability and is also the founder and CEO of National STEM Honor Society. So he has a lot going on. And with Seaside Sustainability, well, actually both these organizations, he's created opportunities to layer both motivations and revenue streams. So creating multiple ways for people to come into the organization as well as give to the organization. And this really enhances their ability to bring people in and to make sure that their organization is healthy from a revenue standpoint. They're also a 1% for the Planet partner. My company, Relish Studio, is one of those as well. I really had a great time talking with Eric. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Here we go. Eric, how are you today?
I'm great, Stu. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's really great to have you on the show. We connected a couple months ago, I think, on a quick call and got to learn a lot more about your organization, Seaside Sustainability. And then you're also one of the, well, you're associated or you do a lot of work with the National STEM Honor Society as well. So that's just really cool.
Yeah, and thank you for hosting me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. So tell us a little bit more about your journey into the nonprofit space and Seaside and National STEM.
Well, thanks for the opportunity, Stu. Very mission driven. I think I've been mission driven for a very long time, and in sustainability, I think has been part of my life since 1970. My mom was pregnant with me the first Earth Day. So I think it comes way back there. And I've lived I wouldn't say like a completely hippie crunchy life my entire life, but I think I was instilled with the values of being being a steward of our Earth. And so I was a teacher for 20 years. And at the very end of the last 10 years of it, I created a program called Green Scholars. And Green Scholars is essentially it's project-based learning in sustainability for middle school and high school students. We trained lots of people all over the country. And what the program does is it is giving students the opportunity to run a sustainability project in their school, in their district, in their community that has actionable effects of their school. So it's not a course, it's not a curriculum where the teacher has all the answers and they're just pontificating and students are regurgitating information. It's really about students learning how to really be a business person or run a project. So projects range from sustainable food to outdoor gardens, to hydroponics, aquaponics, lots of STEMmy stuff, to complete waste reduction, building on-site compost systems, creating waste management systems, solar, wind power, really the gamut. We've in a couple of our schools, we've reduced waste by 85%. We've had considerable energy reductions, water reduction, complete campuses as being been changed to be sustainable, indigenous planting, so they don't need water, they don't need pesticides and herbicides. So Just a really, really amazing program. And that was a predominant part of my my career the last 10 years. And then in 2017, I left. I had already started Seaside Sustainability in 2016, went live in 2016. And then in 2017, I left teaching to really put some energy into it and figured, you know what, I really want to have a bigger impact in the world. You know, sustainability is in my heart and soul, and I wanted to have a bigger impact to more schools, more students, more people, creating sustainable communities, you know, both locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, whatever we can do. So I started Seaside Sustainability, and it's been quite a ride ever since.
That's awesome. So Seaside, you essentially took a lot of the learning around Green Scholars and just focused it into ocean-based sustainability. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is accurate. I think the Seaside Sustainability and now National STEM Honor Society, both of them are run pretty much, unfortunately, because of COVID. But both of them are run pretty much on shoestring budgets, and
Okay.
both of them are modeled after a project-based learning and internship program that we started with Green Scholars. And they're both run exactly like that. So Seaside Sustainability has an amazing internship program at National STEM Honor Society. We're trying to model it. But literally, they turn on their application and turn it off about 6 weeks later. And they have about a 45-to-1 application to hire ratio.
Wow.
So it's just like they're it's me. So just since I'm in both, Seaside Sustainability is just crushing it, and it's really based on giving students, putting them into teams, actionable teams. We have a hierarchy of we have fellows, we have fellow directors, we have a wonderful board. Many of our board members are volunteer staff as well. So about half our board really work with our interns in all these departments, in programs and legislations, in projects, in education, in Green Scholars. We have a consulting arm, so marine sciences. So we have all of these different kind of projects going on simultaneously, both locally around Gloucester, Mass, and Cape Ann, kind of in the North Shore of Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I should say both. That and regionally, and also nationally, and we're working with some international work as well. So
really that's exciting. Great. That's really cool. I've had the pleasure of speaking with a lot of young nonprofit entrepreneurs. We'll use that terminology, I guess. In terms of people who've been on the show, as well as a couple of other organizations, I think, that are very similar to what you are doing in terms of bringing in kids and really getting kids inspired to be part of the solution for climate change or other environmental causes. So one that comes to mind is Cottonwood Institute, and the other is an organization called Shoulder to Shoulder that puts kids into kind of volunteer capacities in communities, so they get to really work hands at
that's really interesting
with the people that are going to benefit from those programs. So again, the idea of both of these is to foster this love of nature and foster this love of the nonprofit space, as well as really help build leadership. So I think that it's great to hear that you're doing that as well.
Yeah, it is. And our internship program, kind of like the basis or the foundation of it, we have an accredited internship in almost 1,000 colleges and universities. So which that means that students that attend those colleges and universities can actually get credit, a pre-approved credit, to be working for Seaside Sustainability. We actually have the same thing over at National STEM Honor Society. We don't have that many. We have about we just surpassed 900. But so that's a lot of work in just kind of getting that, which really helps attract a whole different caliber of interns. So we also have volunteer interns, and we have lots of interns. I mean, in the summertime, most of our interns are probably taking it for credit. Throughout the
Okay.
year at Seaside, it's probably half and half. National STEM Honor Society, we have, it's probably a quarter of our students are actually taking it for credit. But we also, in both, we attract, as you just said about, kind of children. They're not really children. They're, high school students,
High school and
college
college
students, graduate students.
Right.
But then in both, we actually have a lot of professionals. We have people that have changed careers or going back to school. We've had, people, I remember she demanded being called an intern, and she was 77 years old. She said, no, I want to be an intern. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And she really got, because she wanted to, she was like, I don't want to be special. I just want to be, so she was an intern. She was in all of our meetings.
Great.
And, yeah, it was really cool. And it's, and having this virtual reality, it's not virtual reality, but the reality of us all being virtual poses a lot of challenges.
Right.
And also it provides us with just amazing opportunities to do some work that we couldn't do if we had, right now in the Seaside Sustainability, we have 58 interns. Over at National STEM Honor Society, we have 54. So, and Seaside, of course, we're kind of turning people away. National STEM Honor Society, of course, we're selective, but we're not at the 45 applicants to one. And it's just really amazing to kind of put them into teams, give them, a task of, whatever it is. So whether it's a business development or it's marketing or it's working in marine sciences or it's, local. Regional, it could be all that. So it's really exciting to watch and see them develop, see them build their leadership skills and their 21st century skills. It's a really great thing to witness. It feels like it's in both of the organizations are very STEM and very sustainably focused oriented. I think they're very they work hand in hand together. The best way to get sustainability into school is through STEM, I believe. But I just lost where I was going, Stu.
Well, that's okay.
It was right there.
I'm sure we'll come back to you. I really, one of the things that I heard you mention, which I really do very much love, is this idea of being able to tap into multiple motivations for people. And this is something that we've been trying to really get our arms wrapped around in terms of trying to discover ways to help other nonprofits figure this piece out. And one of the things that people tend to want to engage with nonprofits because it makes their heart feel good, or it makes them feel like they're giving back, or there's that kind of philanthropic component of it. But what you have done, which I think is fantastic, is you've weaved in the training and the accreditation piece to that as well. So there becomes this opportunity to tap into multiple components within our own motivational structure from a psychological standpoint. I think it's really powerful, and it sounds like you're doing great stuff with it.
Yeah, and that now, as you just said that, you just reminded me what I wanted to say. My favorite part about both of these organizations is the teaching aspect, but it's not teaching in the sense of me pontificating what I know and people absorbing it and what the regular teaching. It's really supporting. It's supporting our interns and our collaborative efforts of teams, creating teams, and really supporting them in what they're doing, and really creating a learning atmosphere, a teaching atmosphere that is collaborative and supportive, and I think it's really wonderful. So I appreciate you acknowledging that, identifying it, because I think that's one of our biggest assets, other than of course the work we do, but the way we carry out our work, our ethical ways of doing it by encouraging our young audiences from around the world, and both of them attract kind of a very unique Seaside attracts a very unique type of person, and National STEM Honor Society attracts a very unique type of person, but both are international. We have interns that are literally all over the world, and sometimes, of course, it's challenging to get on a conversation with somebody that's trying to establish a conversation when they're 12 hours away. But hey, It works. We get it done. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I also hear, your optimism for and enthusiasm for is this opportunity that has kind of come out of the virtual space that we're all kind of existing in at this point in terms of our ability to meet and interact in person, and just how that shifted, and that has probably posed some challenging things for your organizations. However, it also opens up a ton of opportunities where you can reach people that normally you wouldn't have been able to necessarily reach if your programming was completely 100% in person.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think one of the major advantages, at least for an intern coming in and looking at an opportunity such as this, is that I've heard a lot of issues, unpaid internships that are it's challenging for a lot of people because of their need to make a living and things like that. But I think this opportunity, because they can do it from essentially their bedroom. They can do it from their living room. They don't have to commute. They don't have to pay for any of the travel expenses and all that. Really, it's just to need a pretty strong Wi-Fi and or a phone Wi-Fi internet. And so it's really kind of it's really become accessible to a lot more people than it was before because of this virtual aspect. I feel like when it was in person, we always, I guess, had virtual people, but it was kind of that wasn't the norm. Right. Literally now we don't have anyone in person, because our offices were shut down. So, both is like completely virtual. And I think it's really leveled the playing field of who can be an intern with us. And it's really exciting to see. I mean, just such a diverse array of people in both organizations. So just very exciting.
Well, that's a really interesting item of discussion there in terms of leveling the playing field. I like that language, and I like the idea there that an internship can be a very challenging thing to take on from a financial standpoint for a lot of people. I can imagine that short-term rent in the Boston area is probably not either very accessible or
not even,
or inexpensive. And then you couple that with travel and setup costs and all of those other things, and all of a sudden it becomes kind of a heavy lift. Not only
very heavy lift
because of those aspects, but also the fact that you're going to be working for free or trying to figure out some sort of short-term employment there as well. So, the idea that I love hearing that you guys have just sort of leaned into is this virtual world, becomes more predominant is that can actually be an asset, and it opens things up for a whole host of people that normally or otherwise might not have been able to participate.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. It's sometimes a little challenging when people don't have a strong internet. Literally, it's the one of the main things you have to have. I mean, you have to be a good applicant, but if you don't have a strong internet connection, we've had interns that can't be interns. We have some interns that do their internships literally in coffee shops. We have some that do their interns literally at where they work when they get off, and so they do their 3 hours and their 4 hours or 2 hours before their shift and after the shift, because they have a strong internet connection. And I appreciate you acknowledging that, because it's really exciting to have just the mix of people, the mix of races, the mix of languages. Although everybody everyone has a common language of Spanish. We're not at the place where we can have, someone that doesn't speak Spanish yet. So, imagine that if we could do that. That would be exciting.
Yeah.
We do have in both organizations, I think we've had people that from, if I average them at probably 15 different countries, and the same in languages as their first languages.
Right.
Lots of English as as a second language, or English language learners. So it is exciting. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me a little bit more about what the activities are that your interns participate in. Are they doing kind of outreach, and what are they doing in those 2-hour periods of time that they're online?
Well, I guess just to clarify, our interns work in both organizations. So, and clarify kind of what my role is. In Seaside Sustainability, I'm the founder and executive director, and in National STEM Honor Society, I am the founder and CEO. In both of them, we have essentially it's the same internship program. We have a leadership, they're called fellows and directors, and then we have project managers, and then we have interns. And we're about, kind of as I said, we're about 54, 55 interns in both organizations, and kind of both creeping up slowly together. We don't want to get too big too fast.
Right.
And interns are expected to work in both organizations for a minimum of 15 hours a week.
Okay.
They can work more if they're getting credit. Sometimes they work a semester and they're with us 30, 35 hours a week. We don't really take interns that can't work, less than 15. It's just not super. It's just kind of the number that works for us. And the minimum with us is 4 months. So it's 15 hours a week, 4 months, about 240 hours. They can work more. And lots of our interns come on for 4 months and they're like, oh my God, we want to stay. And it's kind of one of the wonderful things about working for both of these organizations is just that they're constantly kind of standing on the shoulders of giants and passing their work off to different teams and making it better and better and teams better. And so it's really exciting. So, but to answer your question, so in Seaside Sustainability, we have 10 teams. Students, interns work when they come on, actually in both organizations, they really choose one or two departments or projects they want to get involved with. Although we encourage them to move, we encourage them to, really come at this with like, what are my learning goals? Whether you're, doing this for credit or not, like really, what do you want to get out of it? Because we want to accommodate you. It's not just, you're coming here for an internship to both these organizations. What can we give you as you leave and as you go into your next step? So we're constantly doing it. So in Seaside Sustainability, we have a program called Green Scholars. As I said before, it's a project-based learning and sustainability. We're reinvigorating that. So I used to train on it across the country. It's I go to schools or I go to conferences and I present on it, and people would come and pay a registration fee and all that. And so one, with COVID, and two, just like I just don't want to travel around and just do trainings on this thing.
Sure.
Also, going back to like the equity and access, the only people that are paying me to go to their school and and give them this training, generally speaking, are kind of more affluent communities, and I don't want it to be for affluent communities. I want it to be for everyone. So we're putting Green Scholars on a platform, an online platform.
Okay.
And so our students, our interns work in several projects kind of just in this like redevelopment of it, because, it's one thing getting a training from me, an all day 8-hour training, and giving them all the materials and then being there to be their support when I leave and I go back to my, to wherever I am. It's a completely different animal for it being online. So creating this online curriculum structure is as you can imagine, the challenges, and so that's what that group is doing. We have a legislation group. They work on several kind of divisions of legislation. we've done a lot of single-use plastic legislation. Actually, Rockport, Mass, which is where our office used to be.
Okay.
We created with our interns one of the most comprehensive single-use plastic bans in the country, which is just amazing. And so
That's great.
yeah, and so we're doing a lot of with single-use plastic legislation, locally, regionally, nationally. We're working on some circular economy. We're working on letter campaigns with legislators, both local and kind of state and national. So our interns are interacting with them. We have a marine science program. So we're a CBIN distributor. So CBINs, I don't know if you know what that is, but a CBIN essentially is like a floating trash can that's connected to a dock, a floating dock,
Right.
and it sucks in floating marine debris. So it's like constantly sucking in debris, and it's called a CBIN, and we're a distributor for the Northeast, or New England and New York. And
Okay.
it's really exciting. So we have a department that's working on that. We have a department that works on field research and field projects. Although we're kind of retooling that just because of COVID. So we're taking this opportunity to write a lot of grants and determine kind of what we want that to be. We have business projects. We have a human resources department. So literally we have interns. We have a department of 6 interns. That's all they do is work on human resources. They onboard,
Wow.
they do all the interviewing. Yeah, you can imagine just like 45 to 1 applicants to hires. There's a lot of work that has to be done.
Yeah,
So,
that is.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we do a lot of consulting with schools. Well, I should say we've done a lot of consulting with schools in our past, and similar to kind of our Green Scholars, we're working on redeveloping that and getting into more schools. I kind of put it on hold as well because I had to kind of be there in person, and this whole COVID thing is kind of making us redesign things, which is really exciting and kind of more sustainable just in general. And so we have a whole grant writing team, a grants team. We have a tech team, so they work on kind of all things tech to keep our organization running. So everything from issues with Google Docs to different plugins, all that. And then we also have a sustainability calculator, which we should be unveiling in the next few months. We've been working on for a couple of years. And then the last one, well, we have two more. We have a massive marketing department. So take a look at our social media on all the platforms and our newsletter. Feel free to subscribe. But a lot of great marketing department, and that's run with leadership from 2 of our board members, John and Ashley, and they're wonderful. And then we also have a development team, so they're really working on development of the organization and events.
Wow, that's really exciting. I think it's cool to hear that someone can come on and sign up as an intern for the 4 months and get 240 hours of experience, and then be able to take that into the real world and apply it based upon this really immersive experience that they've had over the course of the last 4 months. It's very similar. I went to college in Colorado Springs at a school called Colorado College, and they are on the block plan, and it really worked well for me because I tend to get distracted if I have too many things kind of coming at me at once. And so we would take classes for 3.5 weeks and then switch classes. And so you were getting a semester's worth of instruction and credit in a 3.5 week block. So for me, and I know that might not work for everybody, but for me, it was a really great way to just dive in to something new or something foundational or fundamental that I needed to learn, and be able to just really get steeped in that for such a very focused period of time. So I love that that's similar to the program that sounds like you put together.
And it's really so for students, for people like yourself. I mean, we find that it works. The program, the way it works is, doing. I mean, it's funny. My partner over at National STEM Honor Society always says to interns like, "Oh, you're not picking up, cleaning and getting coffee. I mean, definitely you're not.
Right.
These interns are really doing the work. And the wonderful part of it is when you have a project that's developing, and we always have overlap. So it's not like all the interns leave, in May and they come back in June, or a new cohort.
Right.
So we're always kind of like, new interns are coming on, they're getting trained at the highest level, and then that person they were trained leaves, and then they, it's like literally standing on the shoulders of giants. It's a wonderful program. I just really love it. It's super exciting. And
yeah, that's great. I really love it. So it sounds like you, at least particularly with Seaside Sustainability, you're not having any problems getting applicants there. So your intern, list is full. And it sounds like you're moving pretty quickly that direction at National STEM Honor Society as well. Then I heard you mention grants. So obviously grants become a component of a lot of the stuff that you do to raise money and fund all of this stuff.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming donations, and do you have corporate sponsors as well?
Well, in Seaside, it's that's you've hit the nail on the head. It's corporate sponsors, it's grants, it's donations, it's events. Although in-person events have been dried up. I mean, it's a challenging time, and it's a challenging time in acknowledging that a lot of time, energy, and money needs to be going to our COVID crisis. It just has to be, and to get through this. And so a lot of granting agencies, really changed their perspective and their focus onto, COVID relief. And so it's been a challenge to keep the doors open, but that's good. In National STEM Honor, the good thing about National STEM Honor Society, the challenge with that is that we actually started developing that 3 years ago. So as soon as I left teaching, I started developing National STEM Honor Society, but we launched in a pandemic. So you can imagine how successful we've been. Not too many schools, even if we get a lot of interest from schools, but it's more or less like, wow, this seems really cool. I'm pulling my hair out just to figure out what tomorrow's going to look like at my school. So we're not going to add anything more, but so schools are not doing a whole lot more of adding programs. Although National STEM Honor Society is on a lot of people's radar, they're just trying to get through the day-to-day operations of, they're going to be virtual, are they going to be hybrid? What does in-person look like? Grading, being SATs and college preparation, and how do you do this with phys ed and you have little kids and you have parents, and we have so many challenges. So of course National STEM Honor Society is not the focus of many people. But in National STEM Honor Society we have three income streams. Well, actually, and over at Seaside we also have a store as well. But National STEM Honor Society, we have a membership fee. So it's a very, very reasonable membership fee. It's $295 a year per chapter per year, and there's no member fee. So it's not like a per member. So you can be a member of your chapter at your school, and we do not require you to pay a fee to us. Each chapter could have a fee. We suggest that it's not over $20. So we actually we actually suggest in our bylaws and our constitution that we like it to be nothing. Try to find some corporate sponsors or some donations. You don't need to be charging your students because you really want it to be equitable and accessible. So we have that $295 a year per chapter per year. We also have two departments of e-commerce. One is for public consumption. We're actually just about to launch that, and it's really just t-shirts and hats and things that we're not trying to add a lot of junk to the world, but try to get STEM fun, engaging, interesting t-shirts. And I don't want to say swag because it's not like we're trying to just throw a lot of stuff out there, but STEMmy, fun, interesting, engaging merchandise. And then on the other side is merchandise that's only for our chapters and our chapter members. So it's banners, things to recognize students as like pins and cards, certificates, awards, and then also on that side for our members, member-specific merchandise that are hats, t-shirts, and polos and hoodies. So, so we're, the sustainability part of me, I really want to make sure that we're not, just again, if you look at some of our competitors, they're pumping out tons of just, crap, and I just really don't want to pump lots of crap into the universe, and and increase our our footprint. Sustainability is so we're a benefit corporation in National STEM Honor Society. Sustainability, we have three benefits, three commitments. One of them is sustainability. The other one is equity and access, and the last one is ideas, which is inclusion, diversity, equity and access, which is ideas, inclusion, diversity, equity and access, and then the third one is community and connectivity. So, we want to support those kind of institutions.
Right. Well, I commend the desire to not put a whole bunch more stuff out there. I think that that's it's a challenge, because that's kind of the MO that you see people doing, is just leaning on more branded materials to kind of start to increase that footprint in terms of visibility. But so it's good to hear that you're on board with creating materials that are useful, as opposed to just out there.
Yeah, I mean, we really subscribe to the triple bottom line: people, planet, profit, and so we want to really be an ethical organization. And my heart is in sustainability. That's where I've come from, and I really want that to be something that we focus on. So we've really brought that into National STEM Honor Society, and it's not just the sustainable. Just environmental sustainability, but it's also the cultural and ethical sustainability, and it's not all about making a profit.
Right.
We use our profits to better our world, and not just for lining our pockets. So
sure. Well, it also sounds like you're creating this new generation of leaders who have had at least some contact with these types of thinking, which, that in itself is just kind of paying it forward in a lot of ways, in terms of these people who are interns are going to go on to create businesses, or work for for-profit or not for-profit companies, and be able to take all of the learning and knowledge that you've contributed to them, to those new organizations, and hopefully continue to spread that ethos.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's interesting because on Seaside, we get a lot of applicants and interest of kind of on the environmental realm, of course, because we're Seaside Sustainability, but then also a lot of business students, a lot of marketing students, a lot of now we're starting to get HR students and technical students. On National STEM Honor Society, we really don't get a lot of interns interested in, like, they're not like science, they're not science, technology, engineering, math students. They're really kind of business students, so marketing students, students that are interested in sales and going to school for sales, students that are going to school for PR and e-commerce. Like our video team, every one of our students, I think, in our video team, well, I say interns, because some of them are not students, are either going to school for video, or that's their interest in when they go to school. Same thing with our website and IT students. Like, we're really getting students that are like, we're not training them to be website and IT people. Well, a little bit of training, but right. Our platform is WordPress. So it's really interesting, because it's kind of like, and especially National STEM Honor Society, they're getting the real world experience here, but that's what we're doing also in our chapters in our school, of increasing their real world experience in project-based learning in STEM. So we're kind of doing it literally, like, it's our ethos of our organization, of how we do business, is exactly what we want our chapters, how we want them to operate. So
right.
We're hopefully leading by example, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, well, it sounds to me like you are. It's I just love kind of all of the overlapping stuff that you have, in terms of, we talked a little bit about dual motivations earlier. or multiple motivations in terms of bringing people in. But the other piece that I'm seeing that you've done a great job of is layering a variety of different ways for income and revenue. So not only do you have, kind of the standard nonprofit donations and grants and those types of corporate sponsorships, those types of activities, but you also have a retail layer. So you can always kind of lean on that diversity of revenue streams to help fuel, your continued success.
Yeah, and if I were to, put have my chair of the board, Alan McCoy was awesome over at Seaside. He's the best. And then also my partner and president over National STEM Honor Society, Ken. I am. I tell everybody that I have two major weaknesses or blind spots. One is marketing. I'm terrible about telling people, tooting my own horn. I never will. I just I guess I'm doing it here because it seems like that's what the focus is. But the other is money. I'm just so not motivated by money. So it's,
Right.
Alan and the development team are always, we got, money, generation money. And the same thing with Ken, money. And I'm like, I'm motivated by kind of the ideals and the direction. So the good thing is I need that because, you need money to live, but,
Sure.
it's good. I think it's a good balance to have the direction and mission focused, as you were talking about. And then also, of course, the kind of multiple income streams, even in this challenging economy. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
crossed.
what's nice is when you've diversified that, it's not like all your eggs are in a single basket. And if that basket gets broken, all of a sudden you're scrambling for, how are you going to get more eggs, right?
Yeah.
So, it's always good. I always like to see that kind of diversification of revenue streams, as well as being able to lean on the idea that nonprofits can, have a revenue, a transactional revenue component as well. And so just, knowing that that's there and it's something that you can come back to and lean on and expand if desired is super cool. One question about that, you did mention those, excuse me, the what'd you call them? The things that attach to the dock and clean up the oceans. Sea bins.
Yep.
Are those something that you sell or distribute as well, or
yeah, we do.
Those...
Yes,
okay.
We did not produce them. They're out of Australia.
Okay.
We produce them. Our sales area is our territory. Excuse me, is New England and New York. So
okay.
Take a look at Seabin, and if you contact them, they're going to send you to us. Yeah, they're really great. I mean, they are a wonderful idea. It's a great educational product.
Okay.
They're a little expensive. I think they're a little expensive. Not if you're a marina, or we have a couple in Gloucester. We have one in Rockport, and we've sold several. And it's a great educational tool. So if someone is looking at this product, do not forget about that. It is a great educational tool, because every time we do, it's kind of like an outing with schools or a corporate group down in Gloucester or Rockport. We always bring them down to the sea bin, and it's literally like something that they remember. It is just an amazing educational tool, because it's just an opportunity to talk about flora and fauna and sea life and protecting, being a steward, and the opportunity, because it's right there in the harbor, it's right there on the dock, to go and empty it, and get different groups doing it. It's a really amazing opportunity that some people, I think, when they look at the sea bin, they go, oh, well, it's a price point's not really, affordable, so I'm not going to look at it. But, we've had some customers that we have and that are out there have, 24/7 video cameras on it, so you can kind of see what it's sucking up. And
right.
So yeah, they're really exciting. It's a great product and a great well, it's a great solution. Although, not getting the darn plastic in the ocean to begin with is kind of the ultimate. And, and if I'm going to put on my John Russo hat, and John is our board member and also marketing director, co-director with Ashley. But, John is all about circular economy. So, John and I collectively, although we're trying to figure out how do we do it, but we want to kind of move some of our legislation to the circular economy and to prevent the plastic from being produced in the first place. It's not our fault that it's not being recycled. It's a sham, a big sham that we've been the veil we've been pulled over our eyes for years, as you probably know, Stu.
Yeah, well, I can see how the CBIN. You mentioned it's used as a teaching tool where analyzing the materials that get sucked up into the CBIN and captured. It could be a research tool there to start to do analysis on what's single-use plastic type refuse versus things that might have had a little bit more of a longevity. And my guess is that it's almost 100% the former. But well,
especially with recycling these days. So.
Yeah, interestingly, with that, it feels like there's almost an opportunity to sell that in as a revenue generator for some of these marinas and docks in terms of just bringing people down to see, what's being collected. It's a little bit of a reach, but it feels like there might be opportunity for that kind of pitch to be made in terms of you can actually recoup some of the costs just because it's going to bring people down to, to that location.
That's an interesting, and I've never thought about that. I can tell you almost any time that anybody's around, that we actually, because you have to actually go to the unit and turn it off and empty it. And depends on the location of it, depends on, the marine debris that's coming by, the amount of seaweed, really depends on, where it is and what the flora and fauna around there is. But it's a conversation starter no matter who's all like, oh my God, and what's really interesting is after a rainstorm, or of our personal experience, after a rainstorm, tons of cigarette butts are coming to those things. It is the number one found marine debris in the world, and you have millions and millions and millions of people smoking, and they have this little butt and they flick it on the ground, and then on that ground, I never knew before getting into this work that over 90% of all of our storm drains in the country lead to the ocean. Yeah. And I never thought about it because I was like, well, I don't know. Why would I ever think about that? And then I realized, I'm like, oh my God, it goes in a little stream, and it goes into like a little brook, and then it goes to a river, and then a lake, and then, it finds its way in the ocean. That's why there's so many darn cigarette butts, with so many people just flicking a little one in the street, another one in the street, So, yeah. But
I think that's the interesting concept is people, either perceive of their contribution as being so small, either positively or negatively, that it doesn't even matter. And that's true to a certain extent, except for when you start to pile all of those little contributions together, it actually can make a huge difference. So for example, my business Relish Studio is a 1% for the Planet partner. And, 1% doesn't sound like much, but if everybody were to give 1% and, you look at the GDP, like that's an enormous amount of revenue given to environmental nonprofits in the course of a given year. So
that's really awesome that you're 1%, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. That's really cool, Stu.
Thank you. Yeah, we decided that was something we wanted to. We'd always had a kind of a pro bono and philanthropic wing to what we did, but we wanted to kind of formalize that. So about 5 years ago, I believe we joined 1% for the Planet, and it's it's one of many organizations of that type that just try and get people to consider their motto is everyone has a 1%, and whether that's volunteer time or some pro bono work that you can lump in, or monetary donations. It's always something that can be added to the global good.
Yeah. Well, by the way, 1%. Seaside is a 1% organization.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that is good to know. So anyone out there who's listening to this, who is looking for a nonprofit to contribute to for their 1% for the planet, they look at Seaside. Yeah,
definitely. And actually, we're right in the beginning stages of a National STEM Honor Society of kind of, working on kind of End STEM cares, or our causes and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we need money to be able to give, so it's not a focus at the moment. So, but we anticipate doing something with that in the future as well. So
yeah, I think that there's always opportunity to do those things, and I encourage everyone to consider that.
Thank you. Appreciate the plugs, Stu.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, we're closing in on our hour. We got started just a smidge late because you and I were catching up and chatting there at the start. But I really think that this overlapping, the overlapping things that you are doing with both organizations, I think is just a really cool thing for other nonprofits to keep in mind, is how can they increase the desire to participate based upon creating a secondary motivation? How can you add another revenue stream that maybe you hadn't thought of before? And so it's really cool to see leading by example in those areas. And I commend you for that work. It's really cool. How can people find you? What are the URLs for both of your organizations?
Well, one, Seaside. I wish our URL was a little shorter, but it's Seaside Sustainability. Just type that in and you'll get us. Seaside Sustainability.org. We're on all the the social medias, both organizations. But type us in your favorite social media platform, and I'm sure we'll pop up. National STEM Honor Society is N as in Nancy, STEM as in the stem of a flower, or science, technology, engineering, math. nstem.org. nstem, both organizations have a whole lot of videos. nstem has a bunch of new YouTube videos, and again, nstem has a lot of platforms, social media platforms. So yeah, take a look at us. I mean, nstem, if you are affiliated with a school, our National STEM Honor Society is available for. We've created it so it's not just a high school program. It's really K to career, elementary school through college. Really wanted to produce, STEM focused students. So if you know people that are, in school at all levels, they're STEM focused, this could be a great kind of chapter for them and their school. And
I love it.
And Seaside Sustainability too. Well, Seaside is not a chapter based organization, but
gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Well, it's really great that potentially kids can, or young adults can get college credit or some sort of credit for their work with Seaside. I think that's just a really great value add. Where you're doing some great things for the planet and for our oceans, and also getting a little bit of great training as well as some credit for your efforts.
Yeah, and a lot of we get asked a lot about volunteer hours. So we work with high schools and colleges on volunteer. Also, we just became on National STEM Honor Society a member of the Presidential Service Awards, so we can give those out. So and Seaside is right behind there. So we're in the process kind of on both of unveiling those in the new year of 2021. So.
Awesome.
Exciting.
That's really exciting. I'm excited to learn more and follow your progress.
Thanks, Stu.
If you've listened to any of the shows, you know that at the end, I like to celebrate our conversation, but also try to motivate our listeners to take some action. I think that one of the things that's missing in a lot of our conversations is, okay, well, what should I do? So if you had one thing for our listeners to do after listening to the show today, what would you have them do?
Well, I have my own mantra, although it has been kind of extrapolated and borrowed over a little bit. But I have my own mantra is never underestimate your power, how you lead and how you can share your sustainable lifestyle. I think is super, super important. So you can tell others, you can do something, and if you have the ability to change something about your life to make it a little more sustainable, it's amazing. I think so many people kind of get caught up in like the day to day, like there's so much to do. How do you do it? Well, start somewhere, do it,
right.
and then tell your friends and tell your family. That's one. Two is, I think, being a conformed consumer. Knowing where you spend your dollars, doing a little bit of research on, product A versus product B versus product C. I think it's really important that we all do a little bit better. As you were just saying, 1% for the planet. You could be an informed consumer. You could spend 1% of your dollars to do that. Or, as you were saying about volunteering, 1% for the planet does that too. So definitely take a look at that. And then, the statement that everybody knows is think globally and act locally. And how does the world influence your actions? And what can you do right there in your family, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in your house, on your property, in your condo, in your apartment, in your city block, in your town? What can you do? And then, what can you do there? And how does it affect the rest of the world? So.
Those are all really great things for people to do. And I would encourage everyone to take at least one of those and try and make a change in how you're approaching your day today or tomorrow and make one of those happen.
Thank you, Stu.
Thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it, Eric. It was really good to talk with you again. I know that we talked about having some of your team on the show, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Wonderful. So we will hopefully talk again soon.
Thank you so much, Stu.
Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Right, bye-bye.
All right, there you have it. Another great episode of Relish This. Thanks for listening. If you would like to learn more about how to apply the audience engagement cycle to expand your organization's mission, there are two things you can do. Right now, you can go to missionuncomfortablebook.com to download a copy of my book. And while you're there, you can get your purpose-driven marketing score to see where you can unearth some gold for your organization. If you'd like to listen to back episodes of the show or sign up to be a guest, go to relishstudio.com/podcast. That's it for this week. I'll be back next week for another great episode of Relish This.